As someone who interviews candidates, quite regularly for us back in the day across the junior space and also the senior space, how do you weigh the importance of formal certifications versus practical experience?
This is one that almost always gets asked whenever we're talking to people. Uh, it de- so it depends on your audience, and by audience I mean it depends on who you're applying to and who your target organization is that you want to look at to join. In the market that we're in, which is more enterprise market, certificates make you stand out because they'll get a lot of applicants, tons of applicants who have very similar resumes, potentially very similar experience, and the certificates are a way to stand out above that. They show that you've put in the work to learn it, as well as that you may have implemented it to back up what's on your resume as well. So it's kind of a double effect there. However, if you're doing something like Silicon Valley or some of the more like startup centered or focused groups, they're going to potentially look down on certificates. And the reason for that is because you can take it, you can pass it, and you may never use it. So what they're more focused on is show me a product that you've executed on, whether that's in GitHub, whether that's you've built a SaaS product, whatever it is.
In your line of work, after you've done a certification, let's say it's an Azure certification, just or a .NET certification, have you seen that that certification has helped your work or the work that you're doing in nature before, or is it something that just kind of is a reminder for you for the stuff that you've done?
So in my case, it depends on what project you're working on. For myself, we haven't had a lot of projects where it's directly helped. Like the day one after getting my certificate, I have had I have had coworkers where they take their certificate and within a month they're doing everything that was in the certificate. So it's obviously helped them at least understand what's going on the project.
Right. Fair enough. When you're, I guess, some of our target crowd is people that are getting into software development. Um, would you prefer them to do more work on GitHub and show kind of what they've been doing from a project standpoint, or would you prefer them to kind of do more formal certifications to kind of show that they're, I guess, continuously learning in that aspect?
If they're out of the box junior, they've just graduated from some kind of institution or boot camp, I'd probably want to see an actual project that they finished, because that's where a lot of courses and classes kind of miss the mark a little bit, is building a project from top to bottom from scratch. Typically, you're often asked to do one section of it or do some kind of very stripped down version of it. So if you've done a project and you can show it to the team, that's fantastic. If you've had a couple of years of experience and you've already built an application from scratch, that's where a certificate would probably come into play, and then especially if you're senior.
Perfect. Awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Um, and for actually, this actually segues again really nicely into the next question here. So, speaking about how you evaluate candidates' technical experience, what is your opinion on doing technical assessments during interviews? Are there specific types that you prefer over others?
My preferred type is kind of a friendly, informal coffee chat about what have you done? What have you been doing? And then maybe some pointed questions to eke out some of their experience to prove that they've done something. And by that, I mean, I may ask, hey, Alan Lawrence, tell me how to build a specific application and describe it from top to bottom how you're going to do that. The other thing that I'll look for in terms of that kind of a thing is what do they focus on? Because that can tell you often how experienced they are. In terms of what you're alluding to, where you're probably talking about whiteboards or take home assignments, whiteboarding is not something you will basically ever do on your day to day job. So it's not really representative of how you will be productive if you are hired. And the reason for that is because you're not going to have the internet to look things up. You're not going to have code in the project to look things up because you're going to probably follow the pattern of the project that you're on. And then for take home assignments or doing some work, you have to be very careful that you're not doing free work for organizations, because that does happen. And the other thing too is, let's say, for example, you have a take home assignment and it's maybe not related at all. to their work, if you ask someone else to help you with it, or if you look everything up online to do everything, what is it gauging of your skill set? Basically nothing. So to me, the best way is a discussion with pointed questions, and then execute. Show that you're capable if you get hired.